All right. So, how you feeling today, man? Let's just start out real simple. It's been a crazy couple of days at least. How you feeling today? How you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, sir. Definitely still feeling some effects from that long weekend. A little bit of exhaustion from those late nights, but I'm pretty confident. I feel like our work together has really given me a good foundation. It did mess up my wind down routine a little bit, but it didn't affect my wake up or my morning routine that much. The routine maybe, but not the wake up time at all. I gotta give myself some props there. It was good to be able to kind of break the pattern a little bit, but also still kind of stay with our goals overall. So
Absolutely. And I want to say I agree. Your sleep, your wake up seem to be going pretty great. Honestly, it seemed on your things, you said like it was a little rough on some wind downs, but you still got to them. And that's big. You just started them a week and a half ago. That's and ahead of this, anytime we talked about it, you took that on yourself. That's great.
mm,
So it sounds like you agree with that too. So we're on the same page there. It does, however, seem you dropped down to just two meals instead of the three.
mm.
And I'm curious, was that because it was just such a busy weekend? Did something happen that you just kind of were like, I don't want to have that third meal? What happened there?
It was honestly kind of a mix of things, and even now, kind of looking back on it, I'm recognizing there's a bit of an excuse here. It was a combination of not really having the food, and by that I mean more just I didn't really plan it that well, rather than not having it because I did have things I could have eaten. And then yeah, I think just the time and focus being elsewhere. I definitely let that slip and just got really. It was basically lunch and dinner as you could see.
Now, a little off beat here, but I would like to already say, based on the third meal and the wind down going a little rough, I
Hmm.
would like to keep the same goals and not do add the training like we talked about
Okay.
until at least the next session.
Hmm.
But also say that we have our regular weekend meetings now. Before that one on Saturday, I would like us to have a session based on this, if that works for you.
Okay.
Say an 11 o'clock on Saturday, would that work for you?
Okay. Yep. And so, just what would that entail? Is there anything that I need to kind of focus on or we're
No,
gonna
no,
bring to
I
the
just
table?
so I want to do that for two reasons, two big
Hmm.
reasons at least. So one is the weekend was just rough for you, just based on how it went. And while sure some of that was, you traveling around and whatnot, it was also the new things that are added to the weekend, right? So I think having a session right then at the beginning of the weekend would be good just to make sure you're on track. You're using any coping mechanisms, anything that I can do to suggest coping mechanisms for you
Hmm.
is that's the time to do it.
Okay.
Um, and number two being if we meet up then and you've gotten back to your third meal and your wind down has been solid,
Hmm.
we can then discuss more depth what you would like your first workout routine to look like so that I can have it ready Tuesday for you,
Mm.
a
Okay.
week from today.
Got you.
Because I feel like you're right at that brink where I almost want to say, let's go with it. Let's do a workout routine. But I want to give you a little bit of time to work out kinks too. I don't want to jump the gun.
Yeah.
And I think
No.
therefore a session in the middle of what is normally our week gap between sessions would be good. And it's just a second session this week. It's not like we already meet two times a week or anything.
Right. No, I think that's good. Yeah, and I definitely think that's fair. Also, kind of having another session in the middle, I think will just be healthy. Even to the point where if there's any little adjustments that I need to make or anything like that, we can address them. So.
Cool. Throughout your days, I see you are drinking the morning glass of water we talked about, but are you drinking any water throughout your day as well?
Honestly, lately, not particularly. I did get a case of water when we went to the store yesterday, so I'll pick that up a little bit. But no, honestly, I haven't been drinking my tea or anything really lately. So my fluid intake has kind of been somewhat limited. I know I had a Gatorade on there and like some
All
apple
right.
juice
So
and stuff.
while you're working on just polishing up, let's say, that
Mm-hmm.
third meal and wind down routine, let's
Yep.
also work on polishing up your beverage intake. So you said going to be buying water. Are those the like 12 or 16 ounce waters? You get like
Yeah,
a
this
2 pack or whatever.
yeah, just little
Yeah.
pure water bottles. They're 16, I think. Yep, 16.9.
So if you could try and work towards, let's just start out with 4 to 6 of those a day, that would be great.
Whew. Okay.
Well, that's why fresh water is the way to go, really, you know.
Oh yeah, no
Uh,
doubt.
a water purifier is great, $80, and you have basically free water, you know.
Yeah, I've definitely had intentions on getting one of those for quite a while. So yeah, that'll be coming up here pretty soon. I'll be able to get one. So
Yeah, water like that can pile up quick price wise.
no doubt.
Plus all those plastic bottles. Nature focused here. Let's try and keep it clean, people.
Oh yeah, it's like it's been such a struggle for me because neither one of us really want to drink the tap water, but at the same time, just like you said, the waste and you know what I mean, having the plastic, the water sit in plastic for all that time and all those things. So
Nice
it's
water purification. Even if it's, you can even get the filter pitchers at Walmart for like $15, I think now.
okay. Yeah, I think.
I can send you some links later if you'd like for some cheap water purification. Whether I'll try and find a couple different options from pitchers to attachments to faucets, all different ones, and you can just look
Right.
at some of the more affordable options.
Okay, yeah, because I'd like to put an under the sink option if I could. One of the ones that you put right in the line. You know.
Okay, I'll see what I can locate for you.
Yeah, and just kind of a side note, I'm sure you would at least be able to give me a more educated answer than some I've heard. Some people say just kind of boiling the water will help, but in my understanding, that really doesn't come into play here.
Yeah, so boiling the water can certainly help, but it only helps with certain microorganisms, right?
Right,
Bacteria, viruses, certain ones. And these days we have particles of things in our water. Boiling does not eliminate any particles of anything, pollutants, plastics, anything like that. So there's that downfall to it.
and so that's
So
obviously the importance of having the filter for sure.
especially I don't know specific area on water, but generally city water isn't the cleanest without some filtration going on, right? So it can't hurt to place something on there to take out particles as well, especially these days with all the water issues that various cities have had and such. It never hurts to be safe.
Absolutely. Okay.
So I will definitely look at that for you. But yeah, if you were out somewhere, right, and you boiled your water, that does help purify it, but it doesn't get rid of everything that we have to be concerned about in the modern day, unfortunately. Back before the Industrial Revolution, before the introduction of plastics in water and, all of these things, boiling could help. Honestly, there were things then that could contaminate it so bad boiling wouldn't eliminate everything, but it eliminated most. So
Right.
it was a safe bet before that. Now that there's particles of stuff in our water, it does add another level of purification needed,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Gotcha. Understood. And so for that third meal, I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking I have oatmeal and then some frozen fruit. Like just a cup of oatmeal and some fruit, cinnamon, maybe a little maple syrup and some honey. Is that, a decent morning breakfast just for
That's
something
that's
real
a
quick?
great breakfast, man.
Okay.
That's
I
a
know I
fantastic
saw
breakfast.
the overnight oats recipe that we put up, or that we're going to be putting up here soon. And so that's another idea that, I'm thinking I'm going to try. So,
Yep, and I will hit you with the exact measurements of stuff too,
okay.
especially given I know you don't need a lot, so I'll actually give you lower measurements than I would even give myself,
Okay.
just to make it easier to just get that down,
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And
Yeah.
oats is a great breakfast, honestly, because it is a complex carbohydrate, meaning it takes longer to break down, therefore it provides more sustainable energy.
Mm.
You
Yeah. I
add
kind of,
fruits in there, and fruits give more instant energy, but still healthy energy. So then you got a great combination right there for energy sustained throughout at least the first part of your day.
okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I struggle with morning breakfast. It's tough. I mean, I've been able to I've always been able to eat like sugary cereal and like stuff like that. But to now that it's on the healthier end, that I'm trying to be, it's a little more difficult. I was thinking of trying French toast with like the sourdough bread that I've been getting, and seeing if that is a little more appealing to us both. But I actually wanted to ask you about that. How is something like that health wise?
I mean, there's a lot of what I would call better options, especially if you're talking about eating it at daily, like something
Mm-hmm.
to eat daily. I would say that's going to be a lot of sugar, or especially, over months of eating.
Yep.
And it doesn't provide a great opportunity for variety either.
Mm-hmm.
You got French toast, you might be able to put some vanilla or cinnamon or something like this in it, but you can't, that's not a great variety. Overnight oats is a fantastic option. I myself have used it for years because you can put different things in it. You can put all those things that we just said, as well as fruits, all kinds of stuff, raisins and whatever you want, really. So you can mix
Okay.
it up and have whatever you want, toss it in that day.
Right. Right. Hmm. And
Um,
it's interesting what you said about the long term and short term benefits of like the fruit and the oats. How the oats is a little more complex to get the longer benefit of energy, and then the fruit's a little more instantaneous. So that's interesting too, especially because I never really equated a low energy level with my food intake and what I'm eating before. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but never really thought to make that equation of like, I'm like not thinking really clearly right now, and I'm feeling kind of angry and annoyed. Like maybe I'm hungry. And now I'm starting to kind of get that. My stomach will start rumbling midday. Whereas before I had to like force myself to eat. So I think I'm starting to kind of make that connection a little better. But
that's good, man. Because yeah, the hunger mechanism. There is a system in your body and mechanisms that make your body go, I need more food, and literally like basically makes your system tell you that. That's what triggers hunger. Your
mm,
body's telling you, I need more. That can get dysregulated if you sustain poor eating habits long enough on either spectrum, where it makes you crave more or it doesn't make you crave enough. And I know your history enough to say you're probably at the end of doesn't crave enough or hasn't, and now you're starting to. So that's great. Yeah.
okay, yeah, definitely. And it's kind of challenging some of my ideas about food and eating and stuff like that as well. I am, I will just note that I am kind of struggling to find, effective meal choices, both with my budget and just like the kind of the access that I have here, and my pickiness. That is just something that I'm kind of working on, and I'm working with the kiddo on to try and find some more things. She tends to have a better eye for recipes than I do. So,
Yep.
uh,
Hey, it takes time, definitely takes time to find the things that work, especially with a budget, a restrictive budget. Again, that is something I do have some experience with. That's where a lot of my today food still, because I'm not greatly off, financially. I'm not much better than yourself right now. So yeah, I still use the oats because they're affordable, man. You can get a whole like 50-pound bag off Amazon for like $50, dude.
oh yeah,
Um,
that was why I had to point out that that was a total excuse, because as I'm saying that, I'm thinking of that big tub of oats that I got out there, and the big box of rice, and so I definitely do have the means to make it work. it's just changing some of that mindset from candy and junk food and snacking whatever to like really mindfully eating and planning things out and getting my
Right, in
nutrition
the
from.
prepping process, making sure it's
Yeah,
grabbable, right? To make
right,
sure you don't have to spend the 20 minutes a day cooking when you first wake up. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
definitely.
accessibility for sure. Yeah, yeah, and I just am kind of loving bringing the intention and attention to these things. Seeing now how they're all kind of building on each other and interlocking. The sleep and the wind down routine, and then that affects how much I engage in my morning routine, and how much I'm putting into what I'm writing and what I'm reading, and yeah, all this stuff is kind of building off of each other, and I think this just kind of seems like the next logical step. Get some fuel in me before I start pounding coffee. And I've noticed now, because I've been using heavy cream in my coffee and it's super super sweet, and so that will like twist my stomach up instantly in the morning if I drink it too early. So I will say though, I have more energy come the end of the day. Like I said before, I kind of get a second wind 10 o'clock. Whereas usually I'm gonna watch a show and just kind of veg out now. I'm so just tired and drained. So it's definitely kind of nice to be just kind of living in this. I just feel like it's hyper effective for me. I'm more and more effective each day in the goals that I'm setting forth for myself. So
That's great, dude. That really is. And I would encourage, if you are interested, once you employ the oats,
mm,
if that kind of hits your sweet tooth, because you can add different sweet stuff to it,
mhm,
try to decrease how much sweetener you're putting in your coffee, because coffee, like just coffee, nothing
mhm.
added to it, is actually can be is very healthy for you, especially at the levels you consume it, a cup or two a day.
Okay.
Very healthy for you, but at least half, I would say, of those benefits. And again, I'm a little off top of my head here, so I might be a little off accuracy wise, but I believe about half of the benefits end up eliminated when you add sugar to your coffee.
Mm. And
So
so
if you can
even
make
something like heavy cream would just kill the benefits, the
Oh
natural
yeah, well
benefits
look
of
at your heavy cream. See how many added sugars are in your heavy cream. Because you
it.
said yourself it's sweet. It's not
Oh
just
yeah.
cream, man, it's
Sweet
sugaring.
as hell. Yeah. Okay. Yep. No doubt. And so
Because
when
for instance, one of the things that, and believe it or not, it's one of the only scientifically proven things to assist in weight loss is caffeine, coffee.
mm,
But you add sugar to it, and the appetite control,
mm,
that whole mechanism I was referring to before, ends up getting hijacked by sugar. One of the things sugar does is it hijacks that system into saying I want more, which
mm,
is why when you eat some chips, you can never just eat a handful of chips, because chips are filled with all the things that trigger that system to say I want more. It triggers your hyperpalatability, which triggers, and it has sugar, but both of those trigger that same sugar system, all of this. So yeah, if you can eliminate the sugars from the sweetener, it'll help with appetite control. It helps increase your metabolism.
mm,
It helps to increase your thermogenic temperature. In other words, it makes it easier for your body to burn fat.
mm.
All these things. So
Okay.
it's a little off top of my head, and it's been a couple of months at least since I last looked at this, and these things change fast, so I may be a little off. But last I looked, yes.
Okay.
And again, at least half of those are eliminated when you add sugar to your coffee.
Gotcha. And so obviously, the less sweetener, the better. But if I have to add it, it would be better to add it into like the oatmeal. Then.
Yes, and if you were gonna do it that way, I would recommend drinking your coffee first, actually, or at least beginning to.
Uh.
Wait a few minutes before you eat your oatmeal.
Okay.
Although honestly, if you don't add it to your coffee, just don't add it to anything. If you need to add more sweet, add like more honey or more maple syrup or more something. That still isn't like the greatest thing in the world, but it's better than your artificial sweetener.
Right, right. Well, that was kind of what I meant by sweetener, was like maple syrup, honey. I
Yeah,
have like brown sugar, but even that I try not to use. Amy likes to use the brown sugar, so it's just trying to kind of just get an idea for that, because that is one of the difficult
absolutely.
things.
Well, and here's the other thing, and this might work with Amy too. I don't know about the dairy milks because I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't do dairy milk. But I use chocolate almond milk in my oatmeal to add the sweetness. Then with the chocolate almond milk, I choose blueberries and bananas. Dude, that's plenty sweet. That's like candy right there. They have candy flavored that way. Chocolate, banana, and blueberry. That's like a freaking candy.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yep.
so I'm just saying, there are ways to sweeten it without directly adding sugar, but still adding sweetness, which comes from, yes, sugar, but it's in the whole food form or closer to the whole food form than just simple sugar.
Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate that, because that's one of the difficult things, especially is switching from that type of behavior, the soda and the energy drinks and the candy all the time, chips and all this stuff, to a more mindful, healthy, aware way of eating. It is kind of a shock. Like, oh, I like crave those sweets so bad, and I'm so used to just mindlessly shoving it in my face. So it is nice to kind of make that shift a little more gentle sometimes with some of these things if possible. So fruit is definitely one way I've been able to do that for sure.
Absolutely, dude. Fruit is basically nature's candy. It is the most sugary packed thing. And the sweeter the better. You get some plump, juicy blueberries, big ones that are more the inside sweet stuff than the skin.
Mm.
Oh yeah, dude, that's real sweet. That's plenty sweet. Same with like really good strawberries,
Mm-hmm.
plenty sweet. Um, yeah, so those are kind of the natural way to start gaining back control, I would phrase it, of your craving systems, your appetite systems.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Okay. Yeah, I know. I was loving blackberry season here this summer. It's always one of my favorite times of year. So that's good to know, though. Good to know. Mm.
Absolutely, dude. And power to you. I'm not a fan of the blueberry or raspberries. Not the flavor. Look, flavor's fine, but the seeds, man, those seeds mess my teeth up.
Mm.
Oh, they get in there.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
stick with my blueberries. I love my blueberries.
No doubt. No doubt.
But I'm all for all of them. Those are that's my personal preference. Blueberries if I want berries.
No doubt. Mm.
How are you feeling, or what are you including, and how is that making you feel with your wind down and wake up routines? Has there been any changes in what you're including there?
No, I've tried not to make any changes really. I know we had talked about kind of stretching at night before, so I have tried to add that in. Yeah, that's about it. I haven't even really added any stretching into the morning routine yet. So I've
Do
just been trying.
you have like what stretches have you been using, just out of curiosity?
Let's see. You sent me a couple ideas, and I've been doing, the arm stretches and then the bends, just back and forth. I hold them for 5-10 seconds, then go back.
Hold each one for a proper stretch. Hold each one for 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay. And that's without bouncing or anything, just kind of hold the position.
No, no bouncing, dude. No, especially if you're putting it in a wind down routine.
Mm.
First of all, you're doing it to relax at that point. Second of all, bouncy stretching, especially if it's at all forceful, can cause injury. You can tear things. You don't want to bounce your stretches. Not in an uncontrolled way and without experience, at least with regular static stretching first.
Mm.
I would
Okay.
discourage that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Dynamic stretching in the sense of like plyometrics, like moving through movements slowly in a stretching type of way. That's not what we're talking about here, just to be clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
You mean like actually like
Right. Right.
right? Okay, just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same thing. Just wanted to double check that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and that's
Sometimes
good
I
to know.
can misinterpret, so I'm just for me.
Of course.
So if you are doing those, you're not really in a workout routine yet, so I'm not too concerned about keeping your stretching even.
Mhm.
But I will say, I assume you don't feel a particular tightness in your chest. No?
No, not in my chest. I will get like right back here in my wings sometimes, especially if
Okay,
I'm
so that's a good stretch for you then. It's stretching the area you feel is tight.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. That's the one thing because I can give you a more thorough stretching routine if you want,
Uh,
but I don't think it's necessary right now, especially with, again, what we're focusing on for now. As long as you have something that's if you're doing stretching, you have something that's stretching the actual tense part. I just wanted to make sure there.
yeah, definitely. And then every once in a while, I know my mom showed me this stretch way back. It's like you put your arm 90-degree angle on a doorway or something, and then you just kind of push and you put tension right here and stretch it
Assisted
out.
pec stretch.
Yeah. And so, that seems to help with like anything I get up in here or any problems in my hands from typing or anything like that. But I don't even do that every day. It's more just as needed type of thing. So,
Can always, if you're looking for from typing, there
hmm
are two stretches. First, there's the finger bends, so interlace like I do when we talk a lot. And then you can just hold that for 30 seconds. That can be a decent little stretch just to stretch out all those tendons there in that forearm.
okay.
Like I can feel it all in here
Hmm.
and a little bit on the sides too. And then there are just your basic forearm stretches, right? So I'm going to try and position myself here. You're not grabbing the fingers, right? Because then you'll bend those fingers back. And while you are going to stretch the tendons, you don't want to break your fingers. You're
Uh,
going below, right on the balls, yep. And then straight. Just gently pull back till you feel a slight stretch. It shouldn't be so forceful you're bending your own arm back or anything like that. Just gentle. Stretch that out. And again, 30 seconds each side. All stretches is performed static for relaxation purposes. In the beginning, at least 30 seconds to a minute. And like you already said you were doing, it's fine to go in kind of repetitions or sets, meaning like 30 seconds, cycle through them all, wait a few minutes, go through them all again. If you feel you want to, need to, you don't have to. You do them once. But the more you do them, just like sets of exercises, the effect does accumulate. It does have an improve the more sets you go through. So it is fine to do back and forth and such. Just hold 30 seconds to a minute, all right?
okay.
Oh, and then so the other one I would recommend that I like, aside from this, is this. So bring your hand here, like this. You're gonna take this hand and you're gonna grab it like this, all right? Can you see that? Three fingers
Yeah.
right in there. You got your pinky out here. If your hand is differently portioned and you can get your pinky in there, that's fine. Mine doesn't quite. My hands aren't big enough for my fingers, I guess. I have fat fingers. I don't know.
Uh,
Anyways, then take your thumb and place it right on the back like this.
uh,
And then again, gently, and you will stretch out.
oh yeah, I feel it. Yeah.
Gentle. Again, all stretches should be performed, especially again, doing it for relaxation, gently. You shouldn't
Right.
be like, your fingers shouldn't be turning white or anything because you're pushing so hard, nothing like that.
Right.
They're gentle. Another way to think of it is breathe into the stretch. If you're doing it so hard, you're like, no, you should be relaxing into the breathing of the stretch.
That's something I catch myself doing a lot, is like holding my breath or like tensing up going into these things. And so I appreciate you pointing that out because it's something I've tried to be mindful
Just
of.
like the box breathing, man, and they can feed into one another in that way, meaning help improve one another.
Yeah,
Be conscious of the breath, breathe into it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
there anything else?
No, I was just kind of running through, the week since we talked last. I was trying to see if anything came up at all. I just, I wanted to kind of, for myself, really just kind of set my goals or direction for the week as far as that morning meal. I just want to come up with, I would say, at least 3 or 4 different recipes that I can use, that we both will eat, or at least that I'm going to eat.
Yeah, you can do eggs, and with eggs, just like with oats, you can put all kinds of things in there. You can get some bacon and chop that up into smaller sections and just sprinkle some chopped bacon in each morning. You
Yep.
can get breakfast sausages, chop those up, toss that in with your eggs each morning. You got, the onions, peppers, garlic, all that can go in. Again, not all of these at once. Dear God, you'd have an overload. Um, but also, Jesus, I don't know how you would have all of these and eggs. You'd be so full. Um, but yeah, all that's acceptable. You can also something simple and affordable. Homemade hash browns. You got a like
Mm.
cheese grater,
Yep. Yeah.
buy a sack of fucking potatoes, grate up, season as you'd like. Boom, good to go. Put in a
I do.
flat
Yeah.
pan with some oil. Good to
That
go.
is something I haven't thought of yet. I like that. Okay. Yeah.
You know, again, there are healthier things certainly, but we're just trying to get you started with some at least not horribly unhealthy breakfast options.
No doubt. Okay.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
definitely. Definitely.
And I hope all of those seem like pretty affordable options too. Potatoes, those are cheap.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I went out and got a bag of potatoes after our last talk about the french fries and the chips and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're kind of getting a back stock of stuff like that we could fall on. So,
The one thing I
and
will
even
say, make sure you're watching them. If potatoes go bad, oh, they're nasty, man.
mm,
Those are nasty. So keep an eye on that.
okay, no doubt. Definitely.
I mean, they'll grow roots and stuff first, but if they get to the liquidization, dude, believe it or not,
Oh
rotten
yeah.
was the worst smelling thing. Ugh.
Even just the fact that I'm, to the point where I can start planning and looking at things like this is a win for me. I'm not so overwhelmed by shopping and food choice and what to make each night. And, it's still work. It's still work in progress. I have a lot of struggles with it, but
Definitely.
I feel it getting more and more manageable. So
Good, dude. That's all the goal ever is, right? Just make it a little better between each session, and you headed towards progress. So,
absolutely.
man,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, sir. That's all I had to bring to today.
All
So
right, I'm
really
good then,
appreciate
man. I think we covered everything beautifully.
it. Okay.
And you have your goals here, right? You're going to
Yep.
work on your beverage intake. You're going to work on getting back to your third meal. And you're just going to work on keeping your wind down, wake up, sleeps consistent.
Yeah.
Nothing really new, just all the same
So
stuff, just keeping it consistent.
yeah. Absolutely. And I will say the amount of stuff that's coming up, in resistance to this in the meantime is, it's no small thing. I know it might seem like those goals are small and I wrestle with that. Like, oh man, I should be making more progress. But the amount of things that are coming up because of this it is immense. It is a great thing.
Absolutely. And I
So,
think that's important to recognize both in that facing that is enough of a challenge right now. We don't need to add to it, but also in the fact that you haven't given in to that challenge. You haven't been defeated by it, right? That's a victory in itself. So appreciate that. You're fighting the battle. That's good.
no doubt. Yeah. Hmm. I appreciate
Because
that.
guess what, man? I mean, we've been friends a long time, so I can say this both as coach and a longtime friend that, like, this may be the first battle in a while that you fought purely for your health, not for your survival,
Hmm.
your health.
Yeah.
Just because, yeah, you could maintain without it, but you're going to be better off because you're fighting this, and it's for you.
Hmm. Yeah. No doubt.
So that's good. That's big. So be proud of that.
For sure. Absolutely, man. Much appreciated. I appreciate your time today, brother.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I look forward to talking with you again on Saturday morning about all this, man. Hearing how it all goes. And if you need any assistance or support in the meantime, you can always reach out about it. Let me know.